Is the Nimo NAS Mini PC the right fit for your home office? Or is it another piece of hardware you'll end up tucking away? Who should actually consider dropping a few $100s on a compact box that promises next-gen processing power and secure local AI? And who would be better off staying with a laptop or a full-size tower? And for the everyday buyer wondering whether the price tag matches the real-world value, the answer isn't as simple as a yes or no. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last week setting up the Nimo NAS in 3 very different scenarios: a freelance graphic designer's desk, a small home lab for Docker containers, and a family media hub that also doubles as a private AI assistant. What I found is that the machine shines in a narrow band of use cases, but it also has a few practical limits that can make it feel like overkill for a typical desktop replacement. First off, the most obvious thing about the Nimo is its size. The chassis is roughly the footprint of a large book, so it slides onto a monitor stand or tucks under a standing desk without crowding your work surface. For anyone who has ever wrestled with a bulky tower and a tangle of cables, that low-profile design is a genuine relief. The unit also packs a surprising array of ports: USB-C, a couple of USB-A slots, HDMI, and Ethernet, which means you can hook up a keyboard, mouse, external drive, and a second monitor without needing a hub. In my testing, the port layout felt logical. The power cord sits on the rear, the HDMI is on the left side for easy reach, and the USB-C is positioned near the front for quick accessory swaps. Now, let's talk performance. Inside the box lives an AMD Ryzen 7 PRO 8845HS, a chip that's usually found in high-end laptops. In day-to-day tasks like opening dozens of browser tabs, running Office suites, or editing 1080p video footage in Premiere Rush, the machine felt snappy. The next-gen processing power claim isn't just marketing fluff. The CPU's 8 cores handled multiple Docker containers simultaneously without noticeable lag. For a developer who runs a local Kubernetes cluster, or a data scientist training small models, the ability to spin up a massive Docker ecosystem on a device that fits on a shelf is a real productivity boost. Security was another selling point that turned out to be concrete. The Nimo runs a hardened OS layer that keeps AI workloads local, which is appealing if you're uneasy about sending sensitive data to the cloud. I set up a private LLM inference server on the unit, and all the processing stayed entirely on the device. That meant no outbound traffic for model inference, and the PRO branding gave me confidence that the firmware is signed and receives regular security updates. If you're a small business handling confidential client files, that local AI privacy could actually save you a compliance headache. However, the very things that make the Nimo attractive also expose its limits. Because the chassis is so compact, the cooling solution is forced into a tight space. The product advertises futuristic heat dissipation, and under moderate loads the fans stay fairly quiet. You hear a soft whir, comparable to a mid-range laptop fan. But push the CPU into sustained 90% usage, like rendering a 4K video or training a medium-sized neural network, and the fan ramps up noticeably. It's not a screaming roar, but the noise becomes audible across the room, which could be distracting in a quiet home office or a shared living space. Thermal throttling didn't appear in my short-term tests, but the design clearly trades absolute silence for a smaller footprint. Upgradability is another practical consideration. The unit is marketed as an agentic computer, suggesting some flexibility, and indeed the RAM is soldered, but the storage is a removable M.2 slot. Swapping a 1TB SSD for a 2TB one was straightforward, but you can't add a discrete GPU or expand RAM beyond what's built in. That means if you ever need serious graphics horsepower for 3D rendering, gaming, or heavy video effects, the Nimo will hit a wall quickly. In that scenario, a tower with a dedicated GPU or a laptop with upgradable graphics is still the smarter choice. So who should actually buy this thing? If you're a freelance creator who mostly works with 2D design occasional video edits, and you like the idea of running AI tools locally for image upscaling or text generation, the Nimo gives you a clean desk, enough ports for your peripherals, and the raw CPU muscle to keep the workflow fluid. If you're a hobbyist who wants to run multiple Docker containers, host a personal cloud, or experiment with on-prem AI models without building a full server rack, the compact form factor and built-in security make it an appealing middle ground. Even families that need a media hub streaming 4K video, storing photos, and running a voice assistant locally will appreciate the low power draw and quiet operation during typical use. On the flip side, if you're a gamer, a professional video editor who regularly works with 4K or 8K footage, or a